All right, recording has started. So thanks for joining. I am Mr. Gary, and all four of us on the 11th grade PLC team will introduce ourselves in not too long. Hopefully you can see the slides. So yeah, we can just dive in. We are pretty much just gonna do some brief introductions of ourselves, and then on the back end, we will go through some things such as expectations. Regardless, please save all questions for the end. We'll have plenty of time left over between now and the CTE meeting for any questions that may come up. Also, some questions may be grade levels or class specific, so keep that in mind. All right. So I am Mr. Gary. This is my third year at Eastwood. I teach AP Physics, Physics, and then Pre-Calculus, which is a HISD advanced course.
Hello, guys. My name is Mr. Williams. I teach AP US History, and I also teach two electives here at Eastwood, a semester on Introduction to Philosophy and a semester on history through film.
Hello, everyone. I am Mrs. Eloha. I teach AP Statistics, AP Calculus AB, Algebra 2, the advanced one, and Academic Statistics. This is my ninth year in at Eastwood. And there's my email address, meloha@usanisd.org.
Hello, everyone. I'm Mr. Martin. I teach AP English Language, English Lit, Research, Seminar. My God, that's a lot of AP classes. And College Skills, and there's how you can reach me at my email address. Oh, also, I was going to tell you about the course syllabus. So by now you probably already know that everybody has a hub page. Every teacher has a hub page, and on the hub pages, we have all kinds of interesting things, including the course syllabus for AP teachers. The course syllabus is pretty handy because it tells you everything that it's going to be about. Plus, it tells you all about the grading. We have a no late work policy at Eastwood that everybody probably already knows about, but it gives you the details of that. And then, of course, it tells you everything that your students might need to get for reading materials or everything they need for the class. Yeah, pretty much like every course syllabus would for any course, except maybe for ours, you might want to take a closer look at the grading and look at exactly how that is calculated. Most teachers kind of follow a similar grading calculus, but it can be a little bit different from teacher to teacher. Yeah, so that's our course syllabus, and they're all available on the hub for you to check out whenever you want.
All right. So for the grading system, most of us follow the 20% for the mini milestones, 40% for the milestones, and 40% for the major milestones. So the mini milestones that can include like the daily assignments, homework, and of course, this depends on the teacher. This depends on how the assignments and how the grading is communicated to students. And then for the major milestones, that would be maybe the summative assessments, tests taken via On Track or AP Classroom. And again, this is something that depends from class to class. Yeah.
Just as a second example, for me, I have the same percentages, but my mini milestones typically tend to be checks for understanding, like just the little things to make sure they get it. And then almost anything I actually make my homework because it's typically more math intensive, that sort of stuff, and labs and in-class activities as milestones, and then any major project or major test is a major milestone. So some different ways that we do that. You can, of course, see the syllabus for how exactly each of us does that.
So I wanted to cover with you guys some of our day-to-day expectations for students in the 11th grade, things that will help students to be successful throughout the year. So first and foremost, obviously, as a baseline, it's very important that students come to class on time every day and that they come with whatever supplies and materials that their teacher has given them to work on. So we stress to students the importance of organization, making sure that they have a way of keeping track with the materials that we as teachers give them, whether that's a notebook system, a file folder system. We allow the students to decide that generally for themselves, as long as they have a method or a system of making sure that they're keeping their materials organized and that things are easily accessible. The second part, of course, is that when they're in class, it's very important that not only that the students pay attention and be engaged, but just as important that the students are proactive in asking questions when they don't understand something. And this is an area where we definitely appreciate parental help in encouraging students to make sure that they are raising their hand, asking the questions that they need to ask, making sure that they're getting the help right when they need it. Sometimes a student will not ask any questions in class and will take a quiz or an exam. The student will do badly on it and then say afterwards that they didn't understand. And so it can sometimes be frustrating as teachers for us to really encourage the students to say, you know, if there's a problem, make sure that you are being proactive in getting that clarification. If you don't feel comfortable asking in front of the other students, we always remind students that they can reach out to us via a Teams chat or come see us during our tutorial time if they would like to get clarification on a more one-on-one basis. Third thing is, of course, studying for their assessments. So outside of class, making sure that the students are preparing for upcoming quizzes, making sure they're completing homework, making sure that they have a schedule for what they do when they get home. What's their routine? Again, this is an area where parents can be very helpful with us in encouraging students to have a daily routine that they stick to. When they get home, do they have an hour in which they can watch TV and be on their phone, and then a couple hours are blocked off for homework time in which there's an expectation that students are studying and working on their classroom materials? Is a really good idea, just as one example. Each of us have different types of courses, and so each of us have different ways in which the students can best study for our class. So we as teachers will give students examples of how they might study to be successful for our type of class. And again, if we would ask that parents will support us in making sure that outside of class, there is a set amount of time that is blocked off where students are expected to be working on their homework assignments or studying for an upcoming assessment in our class. So those are our basic expectations for students. Of course, we expect that students will interact with us and fellow students with respect, and generally here at Eastwood, we don't have a problem with that because our students come to us, generally speaking, with excellent behavior and very respectful attitudes towards both the teachers as well as their fellow students. So we're all very happy to be here, happy to be teaching your children. And, we want to make this a very successful first year back in person. So helping us ensure that students are following these daily expectations will help make sure that students are academically successful in our classes.
Yeah, and to add on to what Mr. Williams said about, I just wanted to nail it on the head about what I tell my students often is ask questions early and often, especially in physics, but it's also true history, English, statistics. The content isn't these discrete or separate units or topics anymore. It builds on itself. What I'm talking about this week in AP Physics, I'll be talking about it the last week of AP Physics. People have just piled a lot on there. And so any effort early to understand topics is going to go a huge way to making sure they understand the rest of the course. I also recognize that there's a lot of students who are already, they have a system, they figured out some sort of system probably last year or even their freshman year that helps them to be effective studiers. They take advantage of lunchtime or even just advocacy time to do their assignments. But with that said, what I tell my students is their method is up to them. But if something seems like it's going wrong, the first thing I'm going to check is their method. I'm gonna simply ask them, do you have where's your notebook? Where's your binder? What do you use? And so that they are aware that that's an expectation. And so really an accountability for your end could simply be asking them what that method is. So they also will have a lot of work. A lot of them, they're taking their first year of multiple AP classes, so it can be a lot, but they can do it with the discipline and the time to put in. With that, every class will more or less have 2 grades per week that are put into PowerSchool, and you can access these. Hopefully you all know how to do this. If you don't, you can reach out to anyone of us or anyone on the admin team, and they will gladly direct you to figure out exactly how to access these. This year, as a campus, we are putting a lot more diligent effort into using the comment section on grades. So if there's a 0, we will either notify it as missing, meaning it wasn't turned in, or maybe they literally just scored a 0 on an assignment, as well as the time frame for doing corrections on various topics, depending on the class and how exactly that works. So being connected on the HISD Connect and then helping ensure that your student has a method or a system that will really help them in the long run. All right. And so I think that's it. Now, all we wanted to give time for is Q&A. If you have any questions for us or any content or topics, classes in particular, we could discuss those. Some of them will fit multiple of your students. Not all of your students have all 4 of us, but they likely have 2 or 3 of us. So any questions?
Oh yes, I was wondering about the summer homework for physics. Has it been graded yet?
It has not.
Okay,
I'm working on it.
I was
Thanks.
doing my due diligence to make sure he did it this summer, and
Yes.
we all know it's not an easy course.
Yes, I appreciate that due diligence. It helps me a lot.
Okay, thank you. Oh, my other question is about physics. Will there be any opportunities for extra credit? I mean, it's really a hard class.
In short, again, assuming AP Physics, which AP
Yes.
Physics, it is a very hard class. I would venture to argue it's the hardest class, but that's just my personal opinion. But in short, probably not for extra credit. Yet grade-wise, a simple answer, and the students know this. I definitely, essentially, to pass the AP Physics test, if you can do greater than 50%, you're in really good shape. And so I do curve unit quizzes and tests accordingly. So I tell my students they just need to be in the green, which is greater than 50% on AP Classroom, and they're doing great in terms of passing. So lots of students who are used to getting A's in science and math will get high B's, mid B's with effort, and that's kind of the nature of a college level physics class. and I don't know any way around it other than more effort and asking questions early and often.
Okay, thank you. That's very helpful. I'll encourage my son to ask a lot of questions. He's in the zone, but we got to keep an eye on things.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, and then I heard all the other classes were quite difficult also. I don't mean to leave you out. I've got my son pumped up. He's going to be doing all that homework and he's on top of it. So thank you for holding everybody accountable.
Great, thank you. Any other questions?
While people are thinking of questions, I just wanted to throw this out there. I love the parents who show up to open house. I've been doing this for 20 years, and inevitably, the parents who show up to open house are the parents I usually end up worrying about the least and spending the least amount of time tracking them down to notify them of problems. It's the parents who don't get to show up to open house sometimes who I spend a little more time tracking down for problems. And I wanted to just sort of reiterate that thing about Power School, because it's pretty an amazing thing that that we are able to track our students' grades all the time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, with every development of new grades. We sent progress reports home today on a piece of paper, and it seems so quaint to me that we still even do that. It's a nice marker about halfway through the cycle we do that. But we have a lot of parents, and I bet a lot of parents on this call, because it's the type of parents that show up at an open house that do this, that have alerts on their phones of any individual score below a certain number. They can get alerted to their phones. So if that's something that we could maybe spread the word around all of the parents in our community, it'd be really helpful, because you can see right there in perfect numbers what's missing, what's not happening. If there's a time gap, if there's something that's going on for a specific week or something that was going on in the kid's life, it's pretty easy to just look at the numbers and zero in on the problem. So if more parents were able to get on that, it'd be really helpful. That's my 2 cents.
All right, if you have a question, like our students, and you don't want to ask in front of everyone, feel free to stick around for a few minutes. But otherwise, the CTE and electives meeting, I believe, is set to start at 6:30, so you can head to that link in order to be ready there.
This is Mr. Kaspar. I'll drop the link in the chat too for those if they didn't catch it first time.